Hello, everyone, and welcome to State of the Realm, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. The music seems to have crashed as soon as we started. Already off to a great start right after patch 4.2, but we're just going to roll right into a show. And this week, that's exactly what we're talking about, our first impressions of patch 4.2. So without further ado, let's begin. I'm one of your hosts, Michael, Mr. Happy Poveromo. Of course, joining me is Slyh, a.k.a. Slythefox, a.k.a. Slyh, a.k.a. Greyfox, a.k.a. you, my boy, Blue. How you doing?
Doing good. Good to be here.
Good to be here. All right. Awesome. That's it. That's all. Good to be here. You're here every week, so I hope it's good to be here. If you're really unfortunate, it wasn't good. All right.
Great opening.
Great opening. All right. And joining us, we have normally my nicknames for squirrels are with Slyh, and now I have to divert them over to Merri, who's also here, but it's not just he's a very squirrely Merri.
Not just any squirrel.
I don't know what that means.
It's a wing. It's a wing.
He's a flying squirrel.
All right, go show me how well you can fly, and we'll talk about it later.
You're skydiving in this thing.
Yeah, you're sky. If you
I'll do Gakko in it. Perfect.
No, I don't. No, because you'll take longer to hit the ground, and you'll be missing a tank.
Oh.
Yeah, because you need all that extra aerial control to do the ball mechanics, right?
Totally.
Yeah, right. Fantastic. All right. Okay. So, straightforward, we're talking about 4.2 today. Ethis couldn't join us because he's at RTX Sydney. So, he forgot about that when he agreed to the show this week. So, we said we didn't. I just told him, all right, it's fine. We don't need you. That's fine. We'll be fine without you. Go have fun.
That's kind of harsh. Wow.
Well, I mean, I just wanted him to know that, he should go and not feel guilty at all because we don't need him.
Yeah, we're fine.
That's fine. Yeah. That's all there is to it. So it's fine.
I mean, he and I are basically the same person, so it's not like he's
I don't know how you keep I'm surprised you keep flying with that right there. That meme. How much do you enjoy that meme?
What do you mean, meme?
That meme.
We're twins. He's my twin brother.
The way you said that was frightening to a degree. I think so, at least. It was frightening to a degree. All right. On that note, we've got a lot to talk about with 4.2. Mm-hmm. So we'll handle the raid stuff. We've all kind of dabbled at this point. So we're gonna give
a little bit
dabbled, yeah. It's to some degree. There's either whether it's
except one of us who's going in tonight.
Well, he's watching streams, and he's bound to have seen a thing or two, so he's still got opinions, I think. Are you streaming your raids after this tonight, Merri?
I am.
You am? All right. Maybe stop by. Sly's streaming his raids tonight too. So we'll say that that's going to be a big topic of the show, obviously, because raids are always like the biggest topic. But I actually want to cover 4.2 as a whole, because it's been, despite being a patch that's been a lot of anticipation, there's been a lot of hiccups along the way with 4.2. So with that term, and as the chat pointed out, it makes perfect sense that we had a hiccup with the music based on the way the patch actually went live. So I want to ask you, gentlemen, how was the first hour and a half of your patch? What did it involve for you?
Merri, I'll defer to you first.
All right. Well, the first thing I did is what did I do first? I think I did a little bit of MSQ. And
did you actually get to do it, is my question?
I actually got through really quick.
Okay.
I got through like right away to the threshold. And then I dabbled a little bit with like the glamour wardrobe stuff and was instantaneously disappointed by that, but I kind of got used to it a little bit.
Slyh, what about you? How'd your first hour and a half go?
Because I was trying to get normal done. Not too good. Luckily, we did beat Kefka before maintenance hit, and maintenance hit right in the middle of the cutscene where Mitty shows up, and yeah. Luckily, once I got back, it picked up right at the cutscene. So,
yeah, it should be right before you get the cutscene. It should start right back. It should start at the beginning of the cutscene, basically.
Yeah, it did.
Because you finish the quest after the cutscene, so it doesn't. Yeah, I can't skip the cutscene for that one.
Yeah.
I took 40 minutes to get into normal, cleared it, and then cleared 05 Savage, and almost cleared 06 Savage before we had emergency maintenance at 4:30 in the morning. Sorry, it was 2.5 hours the servers were up before we had emergency maintenance. And that was because, as you said, Merri, there was... So we really do need a shirt series now. We have Raubon Extreme, we have Pippin Extreme, we have Alphino Extreme, we have Sid Extreme, or Savage, depending on how you want to look at it. And then I feel like there's one more that I'm missing.
Sid X, otherwise known as...
Didn't I say that?
No, Sid X, otherwise known as SEX. Sid X.
Sid begins with a C.
Yeah. But you still pronounce it.
Sex?
I don't like this. I don't like this anymore. I don't like this. I don't like the way this went anymore.
Let's just wind it back. All right.
Wind it back. Indeed. Yeah. But yeah, we had Raubon thresholds again. And a lot of people were very, very upset, as pretty much all the major content had one of those gates in front of it, outside of the Ananta. Yep. So nobody could do that first. Anything. Yeah, I didn't have the side quest. I didn't do them until today. The side quests that are in the Peering Stones with the Mikote. Yeah, I did those today.
Nice.
So I'm a few days behind on the Ananta, to say the least. Oh man. So how did you guys feel when all this started going down? When the server, because we've been waiting for 4.2 for a while, and then it's your first impression of the patches. All right, well, just gonna keep chugging on until I get through and hope I get to do something. Glad I took off a nap. Work or anything. You took a nap?
I took a nap.
Nice.
It was a good nap.
What, between maintenance and everything?
Yeah, when the servers went down, I laid down and I got back up and hopped on the servers. It was good.
Yeah, I just got on World.
That's a good call. I didn't. Yeah. I sat there waiting because I was waiting. I couldn't afford to be in the middle of something in World when the servers came back up.
Weren't you working on a guide during maintenance?
What we did is we clipped all of 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry. I'm still doing this. 05, 6, 7, and 8 normal. 05 Savage, and then I went over 05 Savage for people who were just tuning in. Basically, I pulled the footage up and went over it real quick. And then the servers actually only were down for an hour, even though it was 2-hour maintenance. So got back in, and then the rest of the day was enjoyed. So what did you do the rest of the day? Merri, he'll defer to you.
I farmed Byakko, and I got my dog.
That means, listen, and I'll cover why in a few minutes. You're the luckiest person I know. You got all your weapons. You got your cat dog.
Yep.
The best cat dog.
It plays Phase 2 music.
Oh, does he?
Yep.
Ooh, that's good. The Phase 2 music in Byakko is real good.
Yep.
That's some good stuff right there. Sly, what did you do for the rest of the day?
I did a little main story. Did Hell's Lid, which got me to Jade Stoa. Did a little bit of Jade Stoa. Did a bit of a farm. Took a nap. And then it was time for raid.
I like how you asked to put the squirrel ones on and you just took off the top of the
squirrel. Look ridiculous, but...
And you didn't know that before you asked to put it on?
I did, but that's why I did it. For the laughs.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so, and then you know what I did the rest of the day. It was 06, 07, and then part of 08 Prague, pretty much for Savage, which was a good day. It was a real good day, if I may say so myself. And so, okay, now that we've covered what we basically did, aka we all tackled about one thing each. I want it's spoiler free this week, but I still want if you know anything, your thoughts on what took place without saying what took place.
In the MSQ?
Within MSQ?
In all the things that we currently have explored thus far. So I actually didn't do all of it. I got to Hell's Lid and I unlocked Byakko and I didn't do the rest. What I did is I watched Ethis do it on his stream. So that way I didn't feel bad about skipping my cutscenes. And I found I didn't like it as much as 4.1, but it didn't feel like it was meant to be finished in a patch. Was unlike 4.1, which felt very conclusive with teasers of what was to come next. And Yoshi P even said, this is meant to continue into 4.3. Like, that's how we designed the 4.2 story. But there's one thing that happens that I can't wait to talk about on the show that infuriated me, actually, but I'm excited at the same time.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking
about.
Yeah,
you definitely know what I'm talking about. There's only one thing. Anyone who's done it knows exactly what I'm talking about. So, what about... So, Merri, you know what happened. What do you think about what transpired?
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
That's a great... That sounds like every patch. We'll see. Eureka. Yeah. Will it be good? We'll see. What's the next dungeon? I don't know. We'll see.
One thing I did scream about, and I'm sure you did, was something surrounding our little kitty friend.
Wait, so now you gotta is it Hell's Lid kitty friend or okay, all right, yeah, okay, that's fine.
A certain thing.
Yeah, a certain. Okay, I know. No, I know.
I screamed.
You screamed. Was it in fear or what?
In happiness? It was the exact same. Thing.
Yeah, I know.
Same thing.
I know. Okay. Yeah. And Slyh, you said you've only done a little bit of it, so I'm assuming you only did up to the Hell's Lid unlock.
Yes.
Okay. So that actually leads me into the next thing, which is the dungeons. I'm not going to dive into the story of Omega, and I'm not going to dive into the actual story portion of the Four Lords, but the main story actually leads you into the Four Lords in a way, and then breaks off mid-main story to continue to actually pursue the story of the Four Lords. How do we feel about that approach? You still had to, it was still locked behind main story, which is something that is always 50-50. But it was.
Could you really say that though?
Yeah, because you can't. You can't get to Byakko without doing main story. It's absolutely locked behind main story.
I liked it.
That I didn't notice. I really didn't pay attention to that. I didn't notice it. Like somebody just told me, yeah, you have to. Well, you do the main story and then splits off, and you have to go do Hell's Lid. And I was like, wait, I have to do Hell's Lid to get to Byakko? I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I didn't pay any mind. I'm indifferent about it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And it means that the dungeon itself isn't part of the main story. It was part of the side quest. It's just that side quest was locked by the main story. Pretty much.
Actually,
I liked it
both
it
dungeons. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you.
I was saying, actually, both dungeons you really didn't have, because you could unlock Fractal at the beginning. You didn't have to even do story.
Yeah, that's Fractal. How we're used to. There's usually there's sometimes a main story dungeon like Scala.
MSQ dungeon and the random side story dungeon.
And they took a completely different approach to that with Hell's Lid. They put it not only as a side quest, but as the thing that leads into our Four Lords story. And and that's why I want to talk about the dungeons next. Regardless of how I feel about dungeons in the game, because obviously I'm more focused on like the end game stuff and that's where I get my gear. This was my favorite implementation of dungeons into the game as a world building tool in a long time.
Yeah, it was great. It made everything feel really connected. Like it was like just, not necessarily a part of the MSQ, but influenced in such a way that it's like a natural branching point that makes sense in the story to have like been there and existed, and there's a reason for it. And I really like that because it fleshes it out. It's not just like here's a dungeon for the sake of dungeon.
Yeah,
it's like here's a thing that isn't necessarily related, but it branches out and just further expands on a different area instead of just being this straight linear path.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Speaking specifically to Hell's Lid, without spoiling why it's involved in the Four Lords story, I think that the way...
Are we not saying names?
Don't say the name, Because I remember what I said a couple weeks ago about Hell's Lid in particular when we were talking about it. I won't say what I said because then it would be a spoiler, but there's something I said about Hell's Lid, and I was like, there's no way, and it happened. So, the way the Four Lords story is unfolding is nothing like I anticipated. Absolutely nothing about it I could have predicted nor seen coming.
I love it too. It's great. It is really refreshing.
I hate the way it was implemented. I like you said, I was expecting it to kind of pan out a bit differently in terms of both story and implementation into the game. I felt like, and I'm trying to be careful with my words not to spoil anything. Mm-hmm. I felt it was so good. Why wasn't it implemented later?
Because it'll be even better later.
It's going to keep going. Keep getting better and better.
I mean, it's gonna keep going, but we're not gonna get it later. We already have it. We already have it here.
What you're saying is you wanted it when there wasn't shit else to do.
Not really when there wasn't shit else to do, but it was just so interesting that it kind of got fleshed down that way.
Are you referring to Hell's Lid itself, by the way? Just to clarify. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I know. Okay. I know what you're saying. But I liked that basically it took the approach I didn't think it could take because of something else we have in the game. I was like, oh, well, obviously it has to be like this because we already have this, so it can't be that way. Mm. And it's fucked up that everyone who's watched the story and knows what happens at Hell's Lid knows exactly what we're saying without us saying it.
Mm. Yeah.
Especially if you played Final Fantasy XI. Now, that's one thing I don't mind talking about. Because there is a major Final Fantasy XI nod in there. And it's not something that's a spoiler because it would only be a spoiler if you'd actually played 11 and if you played it in the last 3 or 4 years specifically. And it's that the theme of the heroine from the collaboration event, Aroa, is the theme that plays throughout part of the Four Lords story, and it's the orchestrion role that you obtain.
Yep.
And it's a great theme, and it's implemented in a great location.
Yeah.
Did it play through the 11 event?
I think it had to have at some point, but not
maybe in a cutscene.
Maybe when
that's what I'm thinking.
Maybe when she's recalling her master. That's the only place that it would have made sense.
Yeah.
But then it was. I heard it and I was like, okay, having just replayed 11 in the last year for the 15th anniversary, this is very welcome. And I think it might be one of the first times outside of the collaboration events where they've taken a song from 11 and put it into 14. It's borrowed songs from all the other Final Fantasies, but this time they were like, we already know people are going to relate it to Final Fantasy 11. Let's just give them something from Final Fantasy 11. And it was a welcome nod. It didn't feel out of place. It was a good track for what was happening in the moment, and it was incredibly welcome. And if you've been to Ryzenjima in Final Fantasy 11, it reminds you of a few things. So if you haven't, though, it has no meaning to you.
No, it's great. I'm so happy. Yeah. The Final Fantasy 11 player in me is just like.
Did you ever finish Rhapsodies?
Still working on it.
Okay. You'll get when the moment comes, that song that you hear, the Aroa theme, when you hear it, I've already heard it. No, but I mean, when you see what happens in Rhapsodies, you'll feel a lot more. You'll feel a lot more. Don't worry. Okay. So, that is one thing. Hell's Lid and the way it's integrated into the main story is another thing. I want to talk about Fractal. Because Fractal was my favorite dungeon of the two. I thought that Hell's Lid was probably one of the. It's just again better designed in terms of implementation with the world, but I wasn't a big fan of the bosses in particular.
Yeah. Oh no.
Especially the last boss, which everyone kept telling me they loved, and I was like, he literally has a single thing. He has one thing, and that's the only thing he does, and there's nothing special about it. Meanwhile, Fractal was I think that's become my favorite hard mode. Small hard mode was my favorite prior. I think Fractal hard mode has officially become my favorite hard mode. It had the fucking track from the Primals album, the rock cover of Duality, as the background. And it's the fucking orchestrion roll. I was pumped when I was going. I was like, I can listen to the in-game music now. You're putting Soken's like primal themes in here. Oh, it was incredible. What'd you guys think of Fractal?
Still have not done it.
You should go do it. We already know the bosses and everything. So like the bosses we've been talking about since the trailer.
Mm-hmm. It's good, dude.
Yeah.
It's really good.
So Merri, you prefer Fractal over over Hell's Lid?
Mm-hmm. Hell's Lid is great, like Haps was saying. But the boss fights are just kind of whatever.
Yeah, I felt that way. So the first boss in Hell's Lid would have had a lot more meaning to me if I couldn't stay in melee range while he was chasing me. You can actually keep 100%. You don't have to run away from him. You just have to be moving away from him. Mm-hmm. And you could just attack him the whole time. And I was like, okay, well then this is not relevant to me at all.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All the bosses in Fractal have really, really cool, like, they're very visually spectacular.
Yeah.
Mechanics wise?
So mechanically, the second boss I think was the hardest one to judge. So the second boss suffers from the problem of us being overgeared from last patch pretty much more than any other boss in the entirety of the patch, where he has 3 sets of mechanics that can happen in any order, but if you're in 340 stuff, you'll never see past the second one. We had to literally not DPS and have only the tank DPS, and we still almost killed him before the third mechanic came out. Like, it was just auto attacks and like a pet attacking or something. I don't know. And the tank doing aggro, and I think he was even doing aggro combos. I don't even think he was doing like DPS combos. And he suffers from having low health. So if you can do it with like a little bit less item level, the second boss is much more enjoyable. But I think my other thing about Fractal is, again, it was implemented well into the world. Fractal kind of comes out of nowhere. But it covers a huge point that we've spoken about with Fractal a million times before. And I think that if you're someone who's messed around with the Ixal, you'll find that Fractal holds a lot more meaning to you and a lot more relevance to you as a hard mode dungeon. So, yeah. It's real good. So Slyh, I recommend not only Slyh, not just doing Fractal, but I recommend paying attention to the quest. For once, I've never recommended paying attention to the quest in a hard mode dungeon before. Just consider that, Slyh.
Good to know.
Also, desynthesize all that gear. It's wonderful. Do it. It's so good. Merid Leather's like 28k on my server, and I get it from everything. All right.
But yeah, going back to, like, because I just asked, going back to mechanics in both dungeons, what did you feel like? Because I, like, just off of Hell's Lid, I thought these were some of the, like, this was one of the more interesting dungeons mechanics wise, and that's why I'm saying the final boss of Hell's Lid, I kind of felt let down because I felt like we should have got that as an encounter, its own fight itself, both normal and extreme, rather than the way it was implemented. Like, the mechanics were too good.
I sort of felt that way as I was doing it, but when I found out what I was actually getting and instead, I was perfectly okay with it.
Yeah. I kind of felt the same way. At first I was like, what? And then it's like, okay. I mean, this is okay.
Yeah. And again, I'm glad Hell's Lid and that story played out completely differently than what I expected. It's not that I don't want it to play out as expected. It's more so that it wasn't just different, it was better than what I had anticipated for it. So I'd say that's probably, if they can keep doing dungeons like that, again, when they do things like this, I don't mind getting less dungeons. Because I already don't do dungeons a whole lot. If you can make me appreciate that initial experience more, and then when I go through it again, I remember those things and I respect them. Yes. It holds a lot more value to me than the dungeon itself, like actually running the dungeon again and again.
Yes, that's huge. And that's exactly what it is, because so many dungeons, we get them and you do them, and then it's done. It's a dungeon, whatever. It doesn't really
no ramifications. There was maybe some lore, but not really connected to anything.
And they're for the most part pretty cookie cutter, and it's just like a contained experience, and you do it, and that's that. There's a few notable exceptions, like Heaven's Ward, but this left a really like just solid impression on me because it was so different from anything they've done before.
Yeah,
like just world and story building wise, it was just like
I'd say the last time they really did something that made me feel, and Chad actually brought it up, which is what made me think about that, is when they used Edda back in Temtara Deepcroft, where her story just kind of became this like cult favorite amongst the community. Yeah. So that was, I still look back on that as like something that was really crazy. That like somebody just was like, yeah, there's this character who we find out had this happen, and then he's just like, Yoshi's like, a lot of people ask about it. You guys want me to put that? Yeah, all right, we'll do it. And then at Palace of the Dead again, and it was like everything just came together with that. When they do things like that, those are the things people remember and talk about those characters and their interactions for years. And it's a Final Fantasy game, and you want to have that sort of impact with your characters and everything. And I feel like you get that for both Hell's Lit and Fractal. So it was good. More so than Skalik, which was fine, but felt almost forced to get some character development out of somebody. Yeah. So it was good. Yeah. So we still have Hell's Lid going into Byakko. That's the next thing. Mm-hmm. I may like Byakko's character. He's very much different from every trial. And I use that word very specifically. Every trial we've gotten prior to 4.2. That being said, Byakko himself, I call a one-hit wonder. You hit him once, and then you just wish you didn't have to hit him again.
I can agree with you there.
So normal mode was good. I'll start off with that. For a normal mode, something you'll probably do once and never again, nailed it. Visually appetizing, exciting, again, deeply tied into what's going on in the story. Voice acting, both in English and any other languages. In the fight, welcome, and done excellently.
Yep.
And sets up things to happen later. And builds a story that is, I feel, already better than the Warring Triad. Personally.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Then you get to Extreme, which we all know is no ramifications on anything, and it's just, hey, here's a harder version. Doing it once was fine. Doing it twice, all right, I'm getting a little annoyed. Doing it thrice, please let me get them out on the third. I don't want to have to do this again.
12 runs.
You can fucking die in a fire.
I saw 2 dogs in that time, too. I saw one on my 4th kill, and then I got mine on the 12th.
9 totems for me.
Why the fuck didn't you just kill it a 10th time? Couldn't take like 8 more minutes to do it a 10th time?
No, I could not. Sorry.
Now, when you say you could not, would you care to describe what you mean to the viewers?
Well, we did a farm first day, killed it in like an hour and some change, like second lockout. Got my weapon, did a few more runs just so I didn't loot and scoot. Took a nap, get ready for raid. Did raid last night, and people were like, well, people need weapons for raid. Do you want to do this? I'm like, sure, why not? And we do a few runs, and then after those few runs, I won't shoot myself.
That's what I was going to say, word for word.
So I just say, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I got to go to sleep. Sorry. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah. So Byakko's, let's put it this way. He's harder than Susanoo and Lakshmi. We'll give him that. A little bit. Teensy bit. They weren't lying when they said he was harder. A teensy bit. My bigger concern with Byakko, I've never, in the history of playing this game, been as bored to do something over and over again as I am with Byakko.
Yep.
And it's not because I beat Kefka the night before. It has nothing to do with that. I've been doing raids for 4 fucking years. I did Ultimate. And it's just... It's a fight that doesn't feel like it was meant to be done more than once in a night.
I think its biggest flaw is the fact that almost there's no randomness. It's all the exact same all the way through each time, basically. Like, there's not a lot of variability in what happens.
So, for me, it's that it lacks any distinction from its normal mode encounter outside of more damage.
That too.
It does have things that are different. It has the dog. I'm sorry, the cat and him at the same time. That's a difference. And it also has the orbs you drop along the outside, the 3 of them.
Yeah.
And oh, there is one other difference. The aerial phase is easier in extreme than it is in normal.
Really?
So in normal, they know the part where the 4 of them come up and it's in a pad. That doesn't happen in normal. They follow every single one of them actually follows you. So it looks a lot more chaotic in normal mode, and it's a little more fun in normal mode.
That's interesting, yeah, because there's definitely like the pattern where you're just like, all right, sit right here and
you can practically
don't do anything.
So we had a game where people were literally getting up and leaving to see if they could survive that phase, which basically came down to they could if they were a tank and they didn't get knocked off by the line AoE. Like he would end it with like I think 4 stacks, or no, he would end it with 6 stacks, but he could live.
Yeah.
Especially because we found out if you put like an asylum, or if you put an asylum down, it'll actually follow you up. So if you AFK'd inside the asylum, he could get some healing from it. And so I think that they may want to reconsider with making extreme fights like Byakko how much they really want to make it like normal.
Now, going back to Shinryu, we also I kind of felt unfulfilled at the end of Shinryu. First part was great. And then you get to second phase, after ads and everything, and it's like, man. And now you just have basically a cookie cutter of normal, just maybe hits hard, and you have a few more.
You have like 1 or 2 more things, pretty much.
Yeah. Which did you find yourself more unfulfilled about?
The fucking intermission. The intermission on when you're trying to do that fight back to back, the intermission being as boring as it is a real downside. When you're in the air for 2 minutes, you can practically press your fucking strafe keys twice and dodge every AoE for the whole fucking phase. And then you're back on the ground. You've been gone for 2 minutes. Which, by the way, that intermission phase, I don't know why they bother making the orbs remove TP when you are gonna be unfucking targetable for the next 2 minutes anyway.
Yeah, it's pointless. Like, who cares? Okay. Oh wow. I lost
you just have to stop them from reaching the middle. That's it. And and then in the second phase, nobody gives a shit anyway because everyone tank LBs that now.
Yep.
So it's cheesable. It's bugged sometimes.
Yep. Oh. God.
Wait, how is it bugged?
You can get grabbed as the tank, and he'll immediately do the kick, kill you while you're in the air, and then you're out of the fight for the rest of the fight.
Yep, you're just floating, and
you're just floating in the air, and yeah.
Yeah, we found that out because we had that happen, and they're like, okay, just heal our LB. And I didn't raise up, and I'm just like floating dead in the air, and it's like, what?
And we're not done talking about bugs there. We are far from done from talking about bugs, because that's not the only thing that's bugged this patch.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in a different topic, but that's far from the only bug this patch. I think there's a bug with the glamour dresser where there's a problem with it when you put certain items in. I don't remember. I remember some people saying there was a bug with the glamour dresser for something. I don't remember exactly what it went. There's also the forever grabbed bug where he never lets go of you. Period. He doesn't even kill you. He just doesn't let go of you, but he continues.
I've never seen that one. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
I've heard about that one.
You're stuck fettered specifically, so you're just like you can never get out of the fetter.
That's funny.
Yeah. So, Byakko I felt was, And the chat brings up one thing in particular that I'd like to compare it to. When we got 03 normal, when we had the third fight in Omega, we had the desert platform, which everyone's forgotten about by now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't. It was fun.
It was fine. I enjoyed it because I liked racing the other people. And that was something that was a welcome diversion because I always wanted to beat everybody to the end and get out first. I was always like, oh, I got to do it. I got to go fast. And it was something that was just, it was better done than this intermission. It was also only like 15 seconds of your life that was gone as opposed to 2 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
But when they did Savage, they cut it out. And we were like, oh, they could have done so many things. But now having seen Byakko, I understand why they cut it out. Because Byakko totally could have had that entire intermission cut and been a far more cohesive fight. Or they could have done something else in the other phase to at least make it fun. I don't know. Like, I don't want it to be hyper difficult. I want it to be fun. I have more fun doing Susanoo. I have more fun doing Bismarck at this point than I do doing fucking Byakko. That's bad. Bismarck sucks.
I'll say Shinryu. I'll say Shinryu was the funner fight.
Shinryu's the funner fight. Sometimes it could drag on farming it because Shinryu himself. It gets a little lengthy. Just doing that fight. That's
really easy to like.
Fuck the whole thing up. Yeah. That's for a different reason though.
But yeah, but lesser of two evils. Which would you rather farm, Byakko or Shinryu?
Well, Byakko's got the better looking dog. And Byakko, at least if I'm going to farm something, being able to do it in my sleep is pretty useful. Shut the fuck up. For those listening on the audio-only version, he was raising his eyebrows at me in a provocative manner. As in, look at me. Hi. Yeah.
To be fair, it's my only dog, so...
Yeah. Oh, it's your only dog. What a fucking... What a fuck... Cry me a fucking river. Justin Timberlake. All right, in a squirrel outfit.
Ooh.
There is also the bug where the Tiger Line AoE in the second phase is invisible. I got that in normal mode. I didn't get that in extreme.
I've heard like orbs randomly coming up too when they're not supposed to.
Yeah.
People get that?
Yeah, I've seen that too. There's a lot of bugs in the Byakko fight, probably because they tried doing some different things and it just didn't play well with their programming in a few places. And honestly, the odds of you running into one of those bugs when you're a playtest team, you're a QA team, and you play it however many times, you probably aren't going to do it. But when thousands and thousands of people are trying to do it, that's when you start to see it.
I don't know. I've seen the floaty death tank thing like 7 times.
Never seen it yet.
Out of like 30
Only
kills.
seen other people have it.
We have it happen a lot. No idea what causes it.
That causes it. I think there's a truck that wants to move outside. Either that or he doesn't like Byakko either. It's one of the two. I hope that Seiryu, Suzaku, and the final 4.5 boss all have just differences. Doesn't need to be hard. Doesn't need to be Shinryu. Doesn't need to be Thornton. It just needs to be fun. Just no intermissions. Yep. Like, at least we could have deflected the orbs back at him or something. Or, I don't know, have a reason to work as a team for those 2 minutes. Everyone's just like, all right, I'm just going to fucking stay alive myself. I don't have to give a fuck about everyone else here for the next 2 minutes.
Everyone has to grab hands and coordinated.
There's no coordination there either. It's like you're just free for all, and you're just like, don't fuck it up. And then if they fuck it up, you go, you fucking suck. This is the easiest shit I've ever done in my life. That's it. All right, so moving on from Byakko, we have, before we get into Omega, which is probably the big talking point, I want to ask you guys about what you've seen in terms of reactions for jobs, because obviously Merri has this joke where they killed my job, which was a great clip. Monk, obviously for me. Slyh, yours has been fucking coddled for the last like 6 months. You didn't get shit this time, so at least you could. I'm not blaming you.
I mean, what do you want me to say? I'm not meh. I mean, that's all I can say is just meh.
Has your raid made any adjustments with the job changes from like the way it was before?
Our ninja is now a monk.
That's a surprise. That's
our ninja's now a monk, and
I don't know that I agree with that. I think the dragoon should change.
Eat a dick. Our ninja's a monk. Our bard is a red mage.
So, it's weird. Our summoner went red mage he plays all the casters, but he went red mage. It did pretty well for Prague.
Yeah.
But not for the raises even. Just did fine for Prague. We didn't have, on our Kefka kill, I don't think he raised anyone, but he just did well. That's it. And that's it. That's all they changed. Why'd the bard change to red mage? There were no job changes to either of them.
None, but they fucking hated it.
Hey, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. With me, it was my raid groups just like, can you play ninja? And I was like, I can learn. And then they announced Brotherhood changes, and I was like, all right, so you can fucking Skull Sunder once, motherfucker. All right. How about that? You can Skull Sunder once. Because guess what? You got Unchained and it's separated.
Sure do.
There you go. I was like,
I got some things to say about Warrior.
Oh, do you?
I do.
Please.
So,
yeah, everyone's been waiting for you to complain about Warrior again. Everyone's like, all right, what's Merri going to complain about now? What are you going to say, Merri?
Do we need to call 911? Okay.
All right, I've got Belgian chocolates for this. All right, go.
I have some choice words about Warrior. It is so brain dead now, but boy, oh boy, is it fun. Woo boy. IR is really satisfying. You hit like a truck. A fun thing, in previous patches, whenever I'd be like, hey, you should give me enhanced balance or give me the tether, they'd be like, shut up, Warrior. Now my aesthetic's like, yeah, give him the balance and the tether. Let's see how fucking high we can get his numbers. Everyone's like excited. It's fun. It's really easy. It's really, really easy, but the numbers are big and it's fun. Dungeons are amazing now.
Let's decimate. Do you go decimate? Do you just say fuck Steel Cyclone and just decimate no matter what?
Yeah, just decimate. Just crush everything. It's great.
Oh man. Yeah, do you know how much of your DPS is during the inner release window now?
I don't know the exact number, but I guess it's a lot, supposedly. so much so that our gearing, I guess, is basically focused entirely on maximizing the gains out of that window.
So that's kind of the big question. Warriors are having huge debates right now about what is considered best in slot. Now, prior to this patch, it was pretty much a given that all tanks were one strength meld on their right side accessories, and then all direct hit over melds. And then on their left side, direct hit melds for standard, highest item level raid gear and tombstone gear. Warriors have, from what I can understand, begun to think that is the wrong path for them for some very clear reasons.
Yep.
How do you feel about it?
I mean, it makes sense because basically the idea is if this burst window, the new IR window is the bulk of your damage, which it is a lot of damage. Direct hit suddenly has no use because direct hit only affects the rate at which you get direct hits, whereas critical hit rate affects both crit damage as well as crit chance. And since you have 100% crit chance, that crit damage is suddenly even more valuable because every single hit is a crit. And so if you increase the damage of those crits by an absurd amount, you do even more damage. So suddenly it's like direct hit isn't really important for your bulk of your damage. So
I bet as a warrior, you wish the spear did what it used to do now. Lower the cooldown when you use it.
Ooh.
It doesn't do it anymore though. Now you just get those fat balances.
Yeah.
All right. So even though it's do you think it's worth being that brain dead for the way that it turned out?
Yeah. I'm cool with it. Because I think Zeno said it best. When he was talking about Old Warrior, he said something along the lines of Warrior before was a lot of work and not necessarily a lot of payoff. Whereas now it's not a lot of work, but it's a lot of payoff. And payoff is fun. And he's not wrong. Payoff is fun. Seeing big numbers is fun. Destroying stuff is fun. Playing up that warrior archetype of just destroying and ripping and shredding everything is fun, and you feel powerful. And so as like the hardcore player in me, I appreciate having a complicated rotation that's really like mentally stimulating. But at the same time, I also appreciate just having fun with the game. And as it stands, Warrior's just fun right now. So,
and that's all I was about to ask. If there was like one thing you could change, well, besides the brain deadness of Warrior now, what would it be?
Nothing. I mean, it feels like I enjoy it. I think it's a good balance. I have a feeling it's probably going to see some adjustments, maybe because it's a little strong, just a little bit strong.
Well, part of the discussion is that the point of the change was to lower the skill gap.
Yeah,
but pretty much they've just made it so that you either land 4 fell cleaves or you land 5 fell cleaves, and if you miss a fell cleave, it's over 100 DPS lost.
Yeah, it's huge.
So that one error pretty much is the difference between Warriors at like a mid to high level.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Or decimates.
Fifth cleave is.
I'm sure you're gonna love 05 Savage, by the way. And anyone who's got an AoE knows why you're gonna love 05 Savage. You've done 05 normal, so you know the passengers.
Oh yeah. Oh. I'm excited.
You're like, so other tank, I'm gonna it's gonna be your responsibility, but if I do pull aggro, I'm just gonna say roll with it.
See you later, FF logs.
Yeah. That's gonna be the FF logs thing, because FF logs isn't up right now. They're like I guess getting it ready for the next influx of uploads. And that's going to be the big thing, is how much can your Warrior pad during those passengers?
Yep.
And all the top FF logs for Warriors in 05 Savage is going to be all about
It's going to be another 03. It's going to be another 03 where it's
maximizing those passengers.
Yeah.
So I have fun.
Oh, I will.
See, Slyh never has to worry about this because his job's been in a good spot for such a long time. He has fun. That's why he gets to play it. You having fun with Dragoon over there, Slyh?
Yeah.
You still having fun after all this time? Still having fun?
Give me that tether.
Keeping that tether on the Warrior? Has your Warrior started asking for tethers yet?
Not yet.
He will.
He will eventually. I'm expecting it.
On the ad pull. Enhanced balance.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
It's gonna, dude, I can't wait to see what ridiculous numbers Warriors get up to on
that. That'll be fun.
I can't wait to see the Warriors go back to turn 5 Asclepius like the Samurais were doing. That's gonna be another fun one.
Yeah.
All right, and for me, Monk, honestly, you want to know what's fucked up? Job barely fucking changed. Currently, it's still undecided, but the general consensus is Riddle of Wind is not worth using because it's 2 tackles instead of 1, and it's for 1 stack.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically eats what is almost the equivalent of a GCD under perfect balance, but at the cost of lowering auto attacks because you have to take the extra time, missing a window for an ability because you don't have Fist of Fire, and I look at it and I go, it can't possibly be worse when I look at it from like a logical standpoint. But I don't. I'm not the number cruncher guy. I'm the based on the numbers, this looks like this will be the best kind of guy. So I'll let the number guys do their work first. But I will say, getting my own chakra stacks is god tier. Brotherhood, it's so good.
I like it too.
I'm sure you do, because it actually lines up with your inner. By the way, 3rd GCD Brotherhood sucks dick. And all the Warriors want it.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
I can tell you this, at the very least, you weren't getting it on the fucking 2nd GCD. Luckily, our GCDs are faster than yours, so we get to our 3rd GCD just before your inner release comes up. So, fuck you. But anyway. Meanwhile, I'm busy. Now I'm busy like, yo, please no Warrior. Please no Warrior. You motherfucker. Because that's what it is. You go I into inner release, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then, so it's 1, 2, 3, and then inner release. Because yours lasts 10 seconds, ours lasts 15 seconds. So, yeah. So, either way, you're getting the full fucking duration. Oh, I fell cleave. That's right, because you have enough to Felcleave before the inner release. But luckily for you, if I do it on the 3rd, the first Felcleave and your entire inner release has it. And then War's asking for 3rd GCD Emboldens.
Oh, that reminds me. Yeah. So like the skill ceiling for Warrior now is that 5th Felcleave. It's also making sure you maximize your Infuriate trait and not waste seconds, which is partially what that Felcleave at the start does. It syncs it up so you don't waste like 3 seconds on your second Infuriate.
Yeah.
That's how you maximize.
I don't like using Brotherhood that early. It has to be that GCD too, because our very next GCD is our pot. And at that point, we keep holding back GCDs for Forbidden Chakra. Every GCD where we have 5 stacks of Chakra, even if we don't have Brotherhood up, is still like a potentially lost stack. So we hate you. But we'll do it because we just need to make that, we want to make that a big dick inner release. We want your big dick to inner release.
Yes.
There you go. That's
too bad we don't. Oh, wait, never mind. I was going to say, too bad we don't have internal release anymore, but we have guaranteed crit. Who needs internal release?
Yeah, why do you have internal release when inner release is better than internal release for 10 seconds at the very least? There you go.
Okay. Internal release.
It's great. Let me tell you. It lines up with every perfect balance now.
Glad you're happy.
Okay. So next up on the track is Omega. We'll start with normal. Oddly. So, have either of you watched the cutscenes for Omega Normal yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I haven't. I had to skip ahead of them because rushing to get to Savage.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, give me thoughts without spoilers.
Wait. There's one in particular that's a really good nod. Did you miss that one?
I did. The only cutscene I even remotely read was when Nero puts his armor on before you do the first instance.
So it's not.
It's so after a fight.
Yeah.
No.
It's after a fight.
Then I think I know. I think I might know what it is, but you're talking about 05, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
There you go. Okay. I know that only because that's not like a story cutscene. That's a post-kill. Thing. Like you think you get it in Savage also. I think you get the same little scene from the Duty Complete. That's the one you're talking about from the Duty Complete section. Yeah, okay. All right, there you go.
I figured that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah. That's not even story related, yeah. But I mean other than that, like the actual story, because we always I've talked about endlessly how I don't like that they're using Omega just as a means to do shit like Kefka. So how is Omega itself doing? Story-wise? Give me this.
Not as bad as you think.
No, I don't think Omega was bad. I just wanted to know where you.
No, not like in the story, in the sense of a story. Not as bad as you thought it was. As you were saying, like, why are they putting this shit in just to put it in? Like, not that bad. I don't think.
I like where they're going with it. There's some revelations that have me very excited, maybe. I have some thoughts, but
that's for Spoiler Cast, which is going to be in many, many weeks. I'll have to take the spoiler thing off before we get to Spoiler Cast. Because plan is next week is to do one on the World Race, which we'll cover when we get to Savage now, and then we need to do one on the live letter, which is in 8 days. And then we won't have one for like 2 months. But in 8 days. And then it would be Spoiler Cast. So quite a while. Quite a while from now. How did you guys feel about the normal mode encounters? I know it's something that's kind of little, not always. There's always something to say about them. But
my favorite was 05.
Really?
By far. Yeah.
In normal mode?
Mm-hmm.
What about 05 stood out to you as a normal mode?
It's a train. I like being on the train. It's fun.
That simple?
Yeah.
It's a train.
I like being on the train. I like running on the train. It's fun. It's fast. Everything's moving around. You're like, whoa.
Okay,
Look
Thomas.
at the trees. See you later.
How's it going, Thomas?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's good. I mean, the other fights just kind of felt like they're cool, but simple. Whereas the train was like, yeah, train. Choo choo, motherfucker.
There you go. You didn't sound committed to that choo choo. Sly, what about you?
I could go ahead and honestly say that my least favorite was actually 08.
I was ready to say the same thing.
Me 3.
You didn't even have a favorite. You just went right to the one you liked least.
I mean, I can't really pick between. Well, I could say, normally speaking, probably 6, just because of what it introduced.
You mean? Oh, wait. What are you smiling about over there?
We need a Splatoon minigame in the gold saucer.
Oh, no.
I knew somebody was going there. First we called it Epic Mickey, and then they were like Splatoon.
Instead of
the first
Splatoon,
thing I did.
You said Splatoon.
Splatoon, whatever. Splatoon, whatever. Splatoon. I didn't say Splatoon. I said Splatoon.
Okay.
Splatoon.
All right.
Anyways,
no, we don't, by the way.
That'd be sick. Let me ink that turf. It'd be fun.
Because the duty action button feels so good as it is.
We can just put it on the hotbar. It'd be skill. We can have other skills. We can have guns. We'll just make Splatoon in Final Fantasy 14.
Because it was so well when we did so well when we put Diablo and StarCraft in our game.
Yeah.
It's not even StarCraft. I don't count the Lords of Verminion as StarCraft.
Great.
That doesn't count. Oh, man.
Anyways, I like
okay, no. Cool. So anyway, I'm just gonna roll with that.
Yeah.
Just no. All right. Yeah. 08. So I had one very easy distinction to make. When we beat Xdeath, we had a very good feeling we were gonna get Neo Xdeath. We beat Kefka. We already knew we were getting God Kefka. So that I felt kind of played into it. But the big difference is when we finished beating Xdeath, we knew there had to be more. For multiple reasons, there's tells in the game that tell you that there's going to be Neo Xdeath. Like when you get a message in the middle of the screen after you beat a boss, usually, and it doesn't do anything. It usually means that there was something else that was supposed to be there. Manipulator was a good example. When you killed his front legs, it broke both his front and his back legs, so you're very easily able to tell in Savage you'd have to kill all 4 legs.
Yeah.
With Xdeath, it said he was absorbed into the void. But Xdeath just felt like they finished the fight in normal mode. Like, it starts, he does mechanics, he does decisive battle, you feel like you've entered into a more difficult phase, and then it's a matter of beating him before you somehow in the Duty Finder reach the enrage. Somehow. With Kefka, at 40%, he goes to the final tower, the final part of the Tower of Gods, and you're just like, so that's the end, huh?
It's incredibly.
It just doesn't feel like it was designed. Like, Xdeath felt like you knew they designed something else for after it. Kefka, it felt like they just said, let's get rid of as much as possible.
As soon as possible.
That's exactly it. So, like, Xdeath felt like it's a whole fight, even on its own, whereas Kefka, it just feels like half a fight.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a whole fight in normal. It feels like half a fight. And you're just like, you're denied that second half, and you're like, come on.
And I'm going to put that forward then, because I really like having the Savage exclusive fight, which is almost the equivalent of having a 5th raid boss, which is something that I do enjoy. That being said, do you think they may have hit a boundary here that they maybe shouldn't have crossed for once, where they limit the normal mode?
I think so. The normal really suffered. It's not very. I mean, it's just. It would be fun if there was more to it, but then it just stops, and then you're like, okay.
But what more could you add to it?
I just think they didn't make the Tower of Gods itself feel enough like it was part of the fight. It's there, and it does 1 or 2 things for each one. And that's true in Savage, but in normal, that one thing, it feels so, I guess, separated from the fight. It's like Xdeath if he only had his 3 elemental attacks, and then something else came and did one other thing while he was doing those. pretty much. There was nothing like black holes or needing to position fire 3s while you had black holes, or, you know, there was some degree of I don't know. Exodus just was put together better.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of felt like when I first saw Tower in 08 normal, I kind of felt like Rob a little. I'm like, why is this here? Why are we getting this now? And then, yeah, it just didn't pan out like when I think of a perfect fight, honestly, I think of A8. A8
is the perfect example of something. See, but that was like Golden Bahamut, where there's like an exclusive phase almost in a sense. That has no sort of origin point.
But it panned out better than this.
I agree. I think they might want to revisit what they did with Root Justice, where you have an extra phase in. I think they shouldn't just back to back keep doing the same thing like that, because it not only is it predictable, even though I having done the God Kefka fight, I think they did a pretty good job with it. I think it leaves more to be desired. It shows that they're not like a one-trick pony for an expansion in a sense. But AH, as you're right, is the perfect example of a fight that takes something you already knew, adds new elements to it, and then in Savage adds another new element to it, and it all meshes, and it all feels like it was progressing, and you don't feel like you were robbed of a full fight at any point.
Yeah, right. And I agree that we can still keep, you know, the extra part in Savage, but, you know, I mean, because we're still gonna get that in other tiers, but, you know, just give it some kind of, you know, completion. There needs to be some terminus at the end of a Savage fight, not just, you know, an incomplete kind of thing where what we got in normal. Like, give us some terminus a little bit.
I think they should start to re-explore not just doing this, even though I like the 5th boss fight, and start looking towards sometimes having the 4th boss fight, but that exclusive phase that's not on an entire fight. I think switching it up occasionally, or finding even another solution. Maybe they find something else that's a better idea than that, and explore that.
The problem is we're eventually gonna want something beyond this, I don't know how they're gonna implement it. That's the problem.
I don't personally want something beyond. I think for something beyond this, I have Ultimate. That's how I feel. For something beyond this, when I think of the Ultimate encounter, that's beyond this, without a doubt. And
true.
I think there's solutions out there to not just basically saying, well, here's a boss, and then in Savage, here's a harder version of that boss, but it's just the first part of the fight, and then here's the actual boss. There's got to be a solution there. There's got to be a way to just not do the same thing.
There's ways. There's ways. I think specifically, like with this tier in particular too, with Kefka, it's even more like egregious because there's so many Final Fantasy VI fans, and they just denied all of them what they wanted. You don't get that delicious second phase music. You don't get the best half of Dancing Mad that everyone wanted.
That's probably another thing, is that Kefka's known for that Dancing Mad theme, and you are straight up denied. Like, Exdeath and Neo Exdeath have different themes going into that last boss fight. There's a phase 1 music and a phase 2 music, but it's not Dancing Mad. Dancing Mad is designed as a full, like, 17-minute composition to go like that. And when you deny the back half of it, it matters.
Like the big half too, because it's all the thing about Dancing Mad is to build up to that half, and you just get the build up and it stops, and you're like, not only did the fight just stop, but we didn't even get the awesome half of the music that we're building up to.
Yeah, and the last 40% was literally look away, don't look away, and that's pretty much all it was. The last part of the tower also lasted for too much of the fight.
Agreed.
I think 07 normal didn't do a great job either, just to call it out.
Really?
07 normal, so you can see both screens, but only one screen does anything. And pretty much all of the skip and copy and paste and everything, it's basically just, I'm going to do this one thing and then summon an ad, and then this one thing and then summon an ad. Yeah. And then there'll be turtles and then turtle speed missiles that you're gonna laugh at normal and then endlessly hit going into Savage for some fucking reason. Where you're gonna talk shit, get hit has never been more true than with those fucking missiles, man. You're like, oh, who could possibly ever? Oh shit, I didn't see that one. Oh, the boss was in my way. Oh, I was going to the head.
He says this because he was. He says this because he was in my raid. He was watching.
No, it happened in ours too. They're the meme missiles. They're the meme missiles.
Yeah.
It's hilarious until they hit you, and then you realize you're the worst in the existence of life.
I'm gonna make it my goal not to get hit by any missile.
It's like if the turtle, the turtle's racing the rabbit, right? And you jump out in front of the turtle, and then it hits you and explodes in your fucking face.
Merri, you say that, but wait till you're the one tank who gets hit by every missile like ours.
I'll be too busy cleaving.
Yeah, I've had the tanks get hit because the missiles come through the other side of the boss. They're just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so Omega story-wise, I'm gonna actually probably watch it tonight while I'm working on the guides for 05 Savage. So glad to hear it's doing well. I liked the story, I just didn't like it as an excuse. I thought Omega was interesting, just not Deltascape and probably not the Sigmascape itself. We'll see about that though. And then we move on to Savage, where everyone is looking at Deltascape and they're looking back at Sigmascape. And they look back at Deltascape and they go, which was better? So, first, talk about the Phantom Train. Remember when I mentioned all those bugs earlier?
What bug in 05S?
Oh, bug. Singular. You. There's a lot of bugs in Phantom Train. Probably in normal too, but Savage probably gets talked about a little bit more.
Okay.
There's ones where people can get stuck on the other train when you go for the chimney.
We've had that happen.
Okay, that's one. You can have one where I'm trying to remember all of them. There's a lot of them.
Stuck.
Chat, help me out. There's ones you get stuck in the car itself.
Yeah, you get stuck in the other cars. Yeah,
that's one where you can actually get stuck in the car with the ghost, and you can never do it. There's one where I think one of the ghosts does something that pretty much you can't do anything about it, and it just like murders you. I can't remember exactly how that one goes. One funny one, I don't know if you saw it on Reddit, is the fight keeps going after he enrages. If you're in the car with the ghost while he enrages, and you have dots on the boss, you can kill him while somebody's killing the ghost in the car because they're not dead, because the enrage doesn't kill you if you're in the car with the ghost.
That's funny.
So if and then I don't know what happens after you get out. I don't know if he just enrages again once you're targetable and you have a few GCDs on him, or if anything else happens. But there is there's a few things. And then there's I don't know if it's a bug, it just may not be intended, where a warrior can kill a ghost and 2 GCDs and cleanse everyone's KO debuff without them going into their own ghosts. I have to imagine that's a bug. Basically, you go into the tank ghost, murder it in 2 inner release fell cleaves, and it actually gets rid of everyone's throttle because a ghost died and it pushed the boss to the next phase.
Huh. It'd be interesting if that's true.
No, it's true. It's just whether or not it's intended, which is the answer is probably no.
No.
It can absolutely be done.
Well, yeah, probably not. No. Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Okay, so they fixed the enrage one apparently. The ghost turns invincible and then one-shots you after a cast. So they did already fix the one bug with that.
There you go.
Okay. Everyone's talking about there's a big glitch that there's no suplexing.
I mean, we knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
How would they work it?
How? Let's find out. Everyone submit your suplex ideas.
Please.
Okay. So, Merri, have you seen 05 Savage, even though I haven't done it?
Nope.
Okay. So, you're out of this conversation. So, Slyh. How'd you feel about 05 Savage versus Alteroid?
So much better.
Yeah.
So much better. Good Lord.
I'd like to point out that a lot like Byakko, it isn't incredibly different from normal. but it is a much more interesting fight. The only thing that's not so interesting is the initial ads going into the chimney, which apparently is just a DPS check, because if you fail it, then you lose like 3 LB3s worth of damage on the Phantom Train. It's like 600,000 damage. When you kill the chimney, it's 600,000 damage. If you do that phase too slowly, you don't get to kill the chimney. That's why it looks like the chimney does fucking nothing. You're like, why the fuck doesn't this chimney do anything? It's if you go through the ads too slow and you don't kill the chimney fast enough, it just, you don't get the damage.
Yeah, because we usually kill it in like 4 GCDs. Probably.
Most people usually kill it. Most people usually kill it fast enough.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. And that's the only thing in the fight that's like, that's kind of weird. But party finder groups run into the issue, of course, from time to time. Other than that, I felt like it was enough of a deviation from normal. It asks you to care a little bit more, and it punishes you for screwing up in a not permanent way, but in a reasonable way, mostly meaning that the ghosts will grab you and pull you into the other car. And that's basically, it's not a kill, but it's DPS lost on the boss, which then affects. Yep. It's a different way of punishing a mistake than an instant death. And I always appreciate that when they can come up with
it goes back to
solutions.
Yeah. It goes back to, it reminds me of the penalty box in A4. Like, that was a good way to kind of punish you without instant killing you.
Although to be fair, if you die in there, you can't get rest unless the healer gets sent in. So that was a bit of a different.
Your body does get sent back though. We found out that your body does get sent back.
I don't. Oh, what in the ghost train?
Like if you die.
Oh, if you die in the ghost train, it'll send your body back. Okay, I was talking about A4, where if you died fighting the Faust.
A4 wasn't a penalty box though. It was just random.
But it was more so that it wasn't so much a penalty box for doing it wrong. That was just hey, you're getting sent into a different phase, pretty much.
I kind of felt like it was a penalty box because like no DPS on the main boss, so like I felt kind of shit about it.
And then as the chat brings up, and then if you don't kill the ghost while you're in the box, it'll kill you anyway when it explodes. And also, the more ghosts that trigger, the more their health. That's what the health multiplier is. It's how many people have been sent into a train car at that point. Which is why after the halfway point, if you get sent in at that point, 8 people have done the ghosts once you do the ad phase. That's true in normal and savage. So then it's at an 8. It's at a +8 stack for the L. I think it's an interesting way of punishing a mistake that isn't an instant death. Although on savage, there's no walls. So funny thing about that, Sly. Did you know you can't jump off the top of the train with the chimney, yet you can fall off the car that has no rails?
Right.
There's a lack of consistency there.
Not really. I didn't think too hard about that one.
I noticed it immediately. I was like, why can't I fall off? I just ran out along the outside. I was like, why can't I fall off the top of the train? But I can fall off the car behind the train.
Like you were trying to fall off the other side, not the side where the other car is.
I was trying to, where you kill the chimney, I was trying to jump off, and you can't.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm like, there's a lack of consistency here. But overall, every way better than Ultroit. A better example than Byakko of how to take a normal mode and turn it into a harder version, I feel. And it still be fun. Then you move on to 06. I'm 50-50.
Chattanooga.
I'm 50-50 about how I feel about 06.
Why?
I'm very close to saying it's the easiest fight in the tier.
I can agree with you there, but it was interesting.
It was interesting. A few things that stand out pretty well are the fact that both of the tanks get auto-attacked at the same time, which can catch people off guard a little bit. And up to this point with 05 and 06, there's been no reason to tank swap, is another thing. There is something you can do in Phantom Train where the main tank gets a mechanic and you can tank swap off to make sure that they don't actually have to do it in the shitty way. But if you're competent enough, you can just ignore that and just keep it on the one tank the whole time. And then the off tank just permanent DPS stance or whatever. I felt like 06 was an interesting fight, but it lacked in some departments to me. I prefer Catastrophe over 06 Savage.
Really? No, I can't agree with that one. I thought it was better composed than Catastrophe and what it did in all the mechanics. Siren, just everything.
The Siren was one of the more it's this one painting you'll use once in the most obvious spot, and it's I don't know. It just I felt like not that they could have done more, but that they could have made the paint mechanic more interesting. Also, when a boss doesn't have to be moved, a boss doesn't have positionals, and pretty much 90% of the time you have one paint. If you're not one of
most people will have one paint.
Only 3 people are ever at a point where they have a paint that's like different outside of the one forced black paint part. And that's just like, honestly, you know what I did earlier? I did every paint except for the Siren paint, just for the sake of doing it, because I wanted to see what it was like to solo have the responsibility of every paint that wasn't the Siren paint.
I think that might be an FFLogs kind of thing. Like, you have to do a mechanic, like everybody has to do each paint.
Oh yeah, the FFLog challenges. Yeah, that'll be fun.
That would be an interesting. Yeah, I would like that. I might try that just for shits and gigs.
Oh man, there are some good ways to cheese 06 Savage as well.
How?
You can have the Paladin Hollowed Ground, the split damage wind AoE and while he's casting Holy Spirits, and in melee never need to leave the boss.
We were talking.
You can do it. We did it on like the second pull. We're like, this works. All right, that's what we'll do. He's like, yeah, I'm Holy Spiriting there anyway. He actually found out he doesn't even need the Holy Spirit for the first one. He can actually bok choy it. But fun little tip. You can just have a or you can have a Dark Knight Living Dead it. Other option. Can't have a Warrior Holmgang it though, because there's no target close enough. So
right.
Then there's 07 Savage. You are going to love that fight once you've seen the whole thing. And Merri, I think you're going to love that fight in general.
In period. Yeah.
That is the best example of a mid-core encounter I think I've seen in this game. That fight. Someone who loves going hardcore, I love doing that fight. I do not get bored of that fight.
Cool. Y'all agreed that was better than Halconassus.
Halconassus was really good too. Not to take anything away from Halconassus.
Yeah, not to take anything away from Halconassus. We still think that's a good fight. I don't prefer to, optimize that fight. I would actually enjoy, once we finish this, optimizing 07.
What's fun about optimizing 07 is you think you have this idea of what's going to work, and then he does something in a different order, and you're like, fuck, I wish we had him there now.
And that's the key word in this fight. We were talking about consistency, because nothing really is consistent in this fight. Not that we've noticed.
So that's not true entirely. Once you see the very first one, what it is, you can generally tell what's going to happen for the rest of the fight once you've done it enough times. But there's usually like occasional variances that add an interesting element. I think they nailed it on 07 Savage. It is the perfect progression fight that for them to have. I don't think they've done better for something mid-core. Unless you want to talk about Thornton being mid-core, in which case most people would probably disagree, even though it probably is. Because Thornton was also really good.
Merri.
How far are you, Slyh?
Virus.
You got the virus really quick. I'll say. I was impressed. You guys got the virus really quick.
Yeah.
I was proud of you.
And then we just get like completely annihilated by virus. Yeah.
Everyone's like, Merri wishes he'd done it. So he's like, I wish I'd been in there earlier this week.
Yep.
I would love to. Do you have any questions, Merri?
Not really.
You just want to see it.
I'm sure it won't be that bad. Yeah.
How long have you been raiding with your team, Merri?
So we go way back. Half of us. Half of us were together when we were doing Savage Coil and Final Coil. So like we know each other's playstyle quite a bit. The other half is relatively new, but I've been playing with them since they had already cleared 04S, and I came in late, and I hated it because my FF logs are just disgusting. They're not very good on Warrior, because like I never got a prog 04S, and I developed all these really bad habits and stuff, and it's just awful. And so I'm really looking forward to this tier and playing with them, because they're all great players, except we're kind of missing a tank right now. But
so you're pugging a tank tonight?
Yeah.
I actually don't think pugging a tank is that. Don't get me wrong. I think the tanks, as much as there's, again, no tank swap so far. I don't think there's a single. Again, you can do it, and you'll know where in 05 you can do one, and it makes sense. But you won't because you don't want to leave the boss's side anyway. But they do a good job of making sure both the main tank and the off tank have something to do when it's not just provoking and shirking each other. There's good uses. One of my most impressive things is there's great uses of shirk that aren't just for tank swaps here. Like, it feels like you don't need a ninja a lot of the times for the boss or for anything like that, because a shirk can very often be used in the way a Shadewalker gets used in this case. Cool. At least from what I've seen people doing. Or you could just be a warrior and unchained every fucking thing that comes out because you're fucking god now. That's it. Yeah. I think you'll enjoy that.
Yeah.
And then we've got my favorite thing about 07 Savage, by the way, Sly. Daddy.
Mm-hmm. Daddy Luma. So normal mode, does he summon? Yeah, he summons Dada Luma in normal mode. Mm-hmm. I call him Daddy. I call him Daddy Luma. It's like, hey guys, every time he spawns, it's like, Daddy's here. I think the thing I like, even though I hate, like, when we're uncoordinated about it, maybe let's have, and how it's a punishment if you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
But if you don't know what the fuck you're doing, you should have done Google normal a few more times.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, seriously. And we kind of realized they're in the same spot, so, like, it's easy to kind of figure that out. But it's a really big punishment if you fuck up even one, because they have so much HP. Holy crap.
Yeah, they do. So
Jesus.
We were re-clearing for footage for my guy today, and we actually on the time when we killed it, we actually had a Bibliotaph spawn ad. And we had to LB3 it, pop all our cooldowns to kill it, and Bibliotaph spawns as an ad. So we had to also go and then kill Bibliotaph now without the limit break that we just used, the LB3 that we just used, and we were going to caster LB both of them with. And it was a fucking shit show. But it worked, and we killed it that pull like a minute ahead of the Enrage, which goes to say a lot about optimizing on that fight. And that's a big thing. These fights are melting. We have one 375 weapon and then all crafted gear. And that's like all that's really changed about our gear this week. And holy shit, Chatternook practically doesn't get his last two releases anymore. That's like 2.5 minutes of the fight. And we're in 350 gear with one 375 weapon. It's insane. And we are not all top tier DPS. I fuck up so many times when I'm like talking and doing it at the same time.
Numbers are gonna be insane.
Yeah, they are, dude. FF log runs are gonna be fucking interesting, except for Phantom Train where it's all about padding on the ads. That's where it's gonna get lost.
Well, that's gonna be interesting in its own way.
You want to know how it's gonna go? Warriors are gonna want to dominate that every time.
Oh yeah.
That's where I'm gonna have to get our warrior the tether. Eventually.
Have to is the right word.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, logically, who the fuck else am I gonna get to?
Your monk might ask for it. Don't give it to him. He's just Rockbreaker. Like, I love it because you can actually PB Rockbreaker there and like murder everything, but don't give it to him. Give it to the fucking warrior.
Yeah, I'm just doing my Sonic Thrust combo.
Decimate's worth more.
Yeah.
Spicy.
I'll give him Brotherhood. You give him the tether, and he'll have a good time.
Give me the enhanced balance, and I'll just.
There you go.
Boom.
Yep.
And then we have 08.
So Haps, about 08. Hi, Aloha.
Just came in here. He's looking for his food bowl, which is over there, but he decided to meow at me 3 times first.
I've managed to not see the transition yet.
So a lot of people are debating whether they like it better or worse than Neo X Death. And
what do you think?
It's tough. It's different. It doesn't work the same way that Neo X Death transition works.
Right. Because no voids involved.
That's not really what I mean. It's more so the way it's delivered that's considerably different. And I think for introducing like a final boss, it works a little better. But I think visually, Neo Exdeath was crazier when it happened. Because you're just like, everything's black, and then all of a sudden you're just like, the screen shakes, and if you're not looking right where he disappeared, the screen shakes, and you turn around and you see it breaking one punch by one punch. It's I think that was visually more impressive, but I think that Kefka's was more fitting of what it feels like to go from a first boss, like the first form of a final boss, to the second form of a final boss.
Okay.
It's very, as the chat said, true to Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I thought it would be predictable in the way it would happen and how you see the transition. I think I know what the transition is going to be like. I still haven't seen it personally, but
I don't think you do know. Fucking horns. So the fight itself. Man, is Kefka an asshole. I can't think of a better way to put it than he's just an asshole. Like, if normal mode doesn't make you feel like he's an asshole, Savage definitely makes you feel like he's an asshole.
I mean, isn't that his thing?
He's clowning around all the time. That's what he's doing. You don't know how many times my raid made that joke and I never made it once, and I got fucking tired of it. Guys, stop clowning around. We got to beat at this pole.
I'm proud of you, dude.
It was too easy.
Don't take the low-hanging fruit.
It was too easy, man. I'm better than that. Clearly, Slyh knows I'm better than that, right?
Right.
Exactly. There we go. So, Savage makes better use of the tower than normal. I think that's the most simple way to put it. It makes better use of everything Kefka does. So I need you to remind me of something. Does Kefka have reverse AoEs in normal? I don't remember. Yeah. I don't.
Yes.
I don't think I got any of them on my first normal. I don't think I had a single reverse AoE on my normal attempt.
Really?
Yeah, he does the
question marks.
I don't think I had No, that's not true. I had them on the tower. I never had Kefka use one in normal mode. None of his. Okay, that's what I wanted to confirm. I RNG'd out of seeing him do one in normal. So when we got to Savage, it was brand new to us. The reverse thing.
Yeah.
So that it's a great kind of like 07. It's a great way of forcing you to have short-term memory because he copies spells and he'll copy them reversed, but when he reuses them, they're reversed, but the question marks are gone. And it fucks with your head a lot when you get a reverse AoE and then it's reversed again, but there's no question mark. And then there's something else happening at the same time, so you got to remember. And then even the other shit reverses, and everything is reversible in that fight. We have nicknames for every mechanic. Stitches, outside the donut hole, fake, real, bamboozled, swap.
I like that one.
Like there's about 20 different nicknames for every mechanic that we have there. And I think Kefka, I honestly think that he actually was as close to being a full Savage encounter as a first phase could be. His first phase, I think, is about 6 minutes before he enrages.
It's a long fast.
Yeah.
X I think was like 4 minutes, I think.
4.5, I think. I think he was like 4.5. By the way, Guardian's like 12.5 minutes. Guardian's a really long one. Halicarnassus was up there too. I think Halicarnassus was bordering on that.
Yeah, it was like 10, 11.
Yeah, something like that. It's just he's so it's so disappointing, his normal mode. His Savage, even his first phase, it feels so good to do it and to progress on it. Because you don't hang around the last tower for an extra fucking 2.5 minutes. They just did and again, it's 60%. That they didn't do different. It's like X that 60%. He's like, all right, I'll show you my real power now. Yeah. And his real power is something else, man. Let me tell you that. So you get past Kefka, you get to God Kefka. Is it better or worse than Neo Exdeath though? I don't think I can say yes or no. It's very different. It's not even remote. Like they're such different encounters.
How would you rate them on a difficulty scale?
I'd say so it depends on what your weaknesses are as a raider. So one big thing that we take for granted with Neo Exdeath is you never have to position the boss ever. And he never auto attacks. You don't realize how much how much of a quality of life thing is to not have to deal with auto attacks until you do 06 Savage or until you do a fight that has auto attacks. With Neo Exdeath, I mitigate the Tank Buster and I move on with my life. I don't have to worry about mitigating auto attacks while doing this. I don't have to worry about a raid heal coming out, a raid attack coming out while I'm being autoed and then missing a heal. That mechanic is completely gone. And I felt that maybe Kefka's DPS check was a little tighter than Neo Kefka versus Neo Exdeath is where we're going to go, by the way, just for simplicity's sake. I feel like his DPS check was a little tighter. I cleared Neo Exdeath week 1 with 7 people who had cleared it a few days prior because they asked me if I wanted to. And I never felt stressed by it. Like once I learned the whole fight, it was pretty much as soon as we got to Neverwhere on the next try, then that was the end of it. Yeah. And it didn't ever felt stressful. Whereas Kefka felt really, really stressful to get that get that optimization, because if we didn't have the boss in the right spot, we could lose uptime. If we had to be in front of him, if we didn't have True North, or if we had to do a mechanic that forced us to have downtime, and it was it's tight. It's very different. So I don't know. I think they're the same on the difficulty scale, but for different reasons. And I think, and I don't know, Kefka might just be a little harder as a fight, but I don't think his mechanics are harder. I think he's more difficult because of those elements. Yeah. But I think that his actual mechanics are not necessarily harder. They're going to throw you for a loop like any mechanic will the first time you see them. But they're totally dissectable and understandable with repeat pulls. And his fight is shorter also, so you can get to see all those mechanics a lot quicker. He's about, I think he's at a 1031 in rage. And I think Neo Exdeath was like 12, like 11? I don't remember. Neo Exdeath's actual in rage. They did a really good job.
I'm excited.
Phenomenal. I really hope that going into the next raid tier that they can keep it up. Whether or not they do the same thing where it's a boss and then a super version of the boss, or they try to do it more like Brute Justice, which I think they'll do for the next tier, to be honest.
I'm confident they will.
So Neo Exdeath is 12 minutes and 30 seconds, and I think Kefka's either 1031 or 1051. He's like a minute. He's almost 2 minutes shorter of a fight.
Yeah, that's significant.
Even though Kefka himself is almost 2 minutes longer of a fight, so it's like reversed in a sense.
It's a trade.
It's a trade, but they cram a lot of shit into God Kefka, and they're and it's tricky. All his AoEs are tricky again, but they're not like reverse tricky. They're tricky because they're just tricky. You look at them and you go, what the fuck? What is... You just like, God, my lighting keeps getting worse and worse. I keep having to adjust my background. I look like shit right now. I want you guys to love it. I hope you guys like it when you eventually do it.
I want to get in there so bad. I wanted to be in there day one. But I'm in a weekend static, so...
Oh, you're in a weekend... Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just take your time to enjoy it. I think that's the big thing for me. Sly's been taking his time enjoying it. I've been that's been enjoyable to watch. Oh man, we actually did better on this raid tier than our raid group expected. Our raid group didn't expect to. We actually almost had world second 06 Savage, but Dwayne betrayed us.
How?
We summoned the rock a little too early during the very last release, and it disappeared right before the tidal wave. And then as it died, it was at 2% the boss. And when we died, 3 seconds later, we saw in EM's free company chat 06 Savage down. We were like, fuck.
That sounds like us getting fucked by an Easterly.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar. Just one tiny thing that ruins everything goes down. Yeah.
Now, let's all get the elephant in the room out the way. Like a lot of people saying, this was cleared. I'm already seeing it in chats cleared so quick. Like this fucking sucks as a tier. All in all, what do you think about this tier? in comparison to Sigmascape.
I think
Deltascape.
I think overall it's better. I think Yoshi P was completely sincere when he said this tier is based on the increased skill level of players. The fact that players who did Ultimate, it took them exactly as long to clear Sigmascape as Deltascape is more of it's a topic that's never going to come up in conversation because Deltascape took 14 hours and that was with 2 weeks to dissect the normal fights. That was with, I guess not having to do an hour's worth of normal before you could actually get into Savage, not having to deal with an NPC that wouldn't let you pass him without all this. And that took 14 hours. This took 16 hours with a 1 hour maintenance and with a 1 hour normal thing. And that was after Ultimate. The players that defeated Ultimate, which is by and far way more difficult than this to A, figure out and B, execute on, still took the same amount of time, collectively 14 hours when you subtract the 1 hour maintenance and the 1 hour other thing. That I think it speaks for a lot. I think it speaks for a lot for that. And the average person is not gonna. It's gonna be harder to them. I think Kefka's gonna be damn near impossible for some people compared to Xdeath and Neo Xdeath, just because of the way his mechanics work.
So I have something
comparable. Oh, go ahead.
I have something that kind of ties into this whole conversation.
Okay.
I see a lot of people like to bring up, because obviously Warcraft is, it's a big MMO with a big raid scene, and a lot of people like to say, oh, it took a week for, the current mythic raid.
Someone's been reading my Twitter.
Is that what? Did you say something about this?
No, somebody else said it on my comment after beating it.
Oh, okay, maybe I think someone brought it up in my chat, so maybe they were on my Twitter or something. But it's like, I don't think you can really compare Savage to Mythic, because it feels like to me Savage is almost like the normal mode or the heroic of WoW raids, whereas Ultimate is the Mythic, and Ultimate took like over a week, right?
Took 11 or 12 days, one of the two.
Yeah, and so it's like,
so by the way, that comment about Mythic. So Antorus was 10 out of 11 in a day, and I know that the final boss there was less than a week. I'm trying to think of the Mythic that took the longest. I think it was Legion. Was it? I know the names of the boss. I just don't know if that was. I think it was the previous raid tier to Antorus, where the second to last boss was like everyone was complaining that it took more than a day to beat. There's huge complaints that it was basically gear walled, and that was the only reason they couldn't beat it. And this is another huge discussion. Is something hard to beat because you scaled it to new gear because it's the new raid, or is it hard to beat because it's an overwhelming challenge? Tomb of Sargeras, there you go. Yeah, yep. Avatar and Kill Jaden are the two bosses that took a considerable amount more time on Mythic. Most of the other Mythic bosses went down on other tiers fairly quick, and Taurus being the most recent one. Avatar was the one where top tier raid guilds were like, oh, this is bullshit, it's gated for no reason, it shouldn't be taking this long. The only reason is because that. Where do you stand on that? And something's gated because it almost feels like the developers don't want you to be able to beat it on the first week, versus it's too difficult to defeat with a week's worth of study and practice.
Gear gating is just, I think it's stupid, but skill gating is what it should be. It should be a challenging fight. And while obviously you need to have some sort of gear to clear the fight, I don't think, as far as like World Prog goes, having these walls where you just can't prog because you don't have the gear, like there's not a whole lot of fun.
Kill Jaden, according to chat, also had tuning issues and bugs that prevented people. And then this other comment where some groups couldn't even re-clear Kill Jaden, and for another 200 pulls.
Oof. Yeah. Gear gating is never.
I think we have a prime example of gear gating being not a good development.
We do.
It's a little tier called Gordius. A3 Savage, by the way, A3 Savage, not the example. It's A4. A3 was technically beatable the first week. They just didn't optimize it enough before the lockout. They died at 0.5% on the first week. Obviously, that's a world first group, not your average group.
Yeah.
But that's indicative that it was because they were so skilled, there was no gear gate for them on that encounter. They cleared it on the first pull of the next lockout.
Yeah.
And Merri, you bring up a good point, but to your point, like a lot of these teams that we're seeing who are clearing in the world first category, like top 10, like they have ridiculous amounts of money, and they're a complete FC to where they have crafted gear and everything.
Man.
So like, what does that say? What does that say to the point of, gear gating, but the teams who are the people who are really clearing the content are the ones who have the gear?
I think it's kind of like a healthy thing. And I think it's really cool in a way, because it takes the world race and it makes it about more than just the raiders. It makes it about their free company and like the teamwork to put together these materials and their crafters and all that stuff. It becomes this big collective effort. And it's not just like, who's the best raid group. It's like, who's got the best like team. It's like your pit crew, right? It's kind of cool in a sense.
Man, so this is the first time I've ever done free company crafting on the release. I didn't do the crafting. I mean, participating in the way it's structured. And okay, here's how it worked. I would give them before the patch went live. So I think like Sunday, I put 20 million gil in the free company chest. That's a down payment for the gear, pretty much. When the patch comes out, any materials you can get for free with creation or yellow scripts or whatever it is, you put in the free company chest, and it means they don't have to buy it with the down payment that you put forth. So the more you're able to put in for free, the more money you basically save, and then they'll take a premium based on effort, taking the time to actually do it. And then you get back whatever. Then if you didn't have something in there, then they'll just go buy it. Whatever the market value is day one, that's what they're paying for it. And then they make you the full set, and then you do all the melding yourself. If you're smart, you've been saving material up to this point. And then you get back whatever the 20 million wasn't used. And it was great. It was fantastic. And how much
did you get back?
Yeah.
So I put 40 mil down because I was originally going to get a set for Monk and Ninja. So I got the full 20 mil back for Ninja.
Nice.
And then I think I got like 3 mil back because I didn't have any yellow script mats for the other one. So it was nice. And considering people are market boarding the weapons, which I also got crafted, people are market boarding those for like 15 mil. Compared to how much they cost to craft, that's way too much to market board. Yeah.
They're like a mil.
Probably not even that much.
1.5 on Balmond.
I don't know. Maybe not even that much. Yeah. Free company crafting was on point. It took a little while for us to get the gear. We were starved for the gear. We're like, no, make our gear, please. We need it. We're so close. Oh, man. But it was great to participate in that. It felt really good to do hardcore rating and stream it again. We missed top 10 for world ranking, though. We weren't even aiming for world ranking, but we missed top 10. We got 11. Xeno got 10 an hour before us.
Nice.
It was close, but at least we were the third NA clear, I guess. Xeno's raids with the EU group. I always forget that until people remind me. Oh man,
I wanna be a part of the world race.
We weren't even intending. We just wanted to go hard, and it ended up being like an okay like placing for us. And
I would want to do that too.
It was a lot of fun, but it is super stressful. I don't know if you saw what happened when I beat Kefka. I got up and walked away. You walked off. I didn't yell. I didn't shout. I didn't do anything. I just walked away from, because I walked away, and Mel was trying to get some sleep, so I didn't want to yell. So I just physically exuded the energy by getting up and walking around.
Nice.
It's stressful. It's something you'll do like maybe once or twice, and then you don't know if you'll ever want to do it again, but it keeps pulling you back.
I mean, yeah, because I'm kind of that way. Like, I didn't do World Prog for Savage Coil, but like back when Savage Coil was the thing, like not a lot of people were doing it because it was really, really hard. And when we cleared Turn 7 Savage and we got, server first, whatever that was worth, it was just like, just like shaking and just like, oh my God.
I've never been more excited to beat a fight than A3 Savage, I think that is the fight where after 2 weeks of disaster, it was 30 minutes before the servers went down for the patch that was going to give us the weapons. So we had to beat it before those weapons came out. And we had 8 minutes left on the lockout. And we were in the middle of the last full, and we died with one person alive after the enrage. Like, it kills you one by one.
Yeah.
And I look back and I go, man, was my West Coast ping a big problem. Because I was in LA when I beat it with Mel, and the servers were still on the East Coast then. And I look and I go, why are you doing so many Rytons? Your latency can't do that. Stop. It's so bad. Yeah. But that was ecstatic. Even A4 Savage was like, oh, it's fucking over. I'm going home. I don't. A4 Savage Geargate was dumb. It was not fun whatsoever. But I think even if the next tier ends up being beaten 14 hours, which is highly likely it happens again. I don't think there's any reason to believe that it won't die in less than a day again. I think if the fight quality is like this, again, I don't mind. These fights were put together well. Some bugs that are there in a few places, but it's a clearly better product. And I think that's what they're striving for over something that the world firsters beat it in a fucking day, or people beat it in the first. Yeah. Who gives a shit? Did you beat it in the first week? If you're disappointed after beating it in the first week, I totally get it. But if you're disappointed because somebody else did it, shut the fuck up. All right.
Yep. 100%. Nothing else needs to be said.
That's it.
And that's where to put it.
And I want you two to enjoy it thoroughly.
I will. I'm so excited.
I am.
I'm ready to ride.
We go back in during Super Bowl.
Oh shit! The Super. Oh, I forgot about that. I don't care about football, so I always forget it. I just watch
sports
the commercials.
Ball.
The commercials are on YouTube. I don't give a shit. So that's fine. Sports ball. All right. So there are other things we have to remember. Hildebrand is in 4.25. Eureka is in 4. Right, Merri? Merri, what did you find in the Party Finder the other day?
Eureka.
If you go into the Party Finder and try to make one, if you look at the bottom, it says Forbidden Land of Eureka. It's grayed out, and Deep Dungeons.
And if you click on Deep Dungeons, there's a drop-down menu that's grayed out.
It'll work.
You can't choose it.
It'll work. Oh yeah. I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Live letter is in 8 days to cover Eureka. Slyh.
Yeah, 8 days.
8 days.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
We were aiming for 4.25, but 4.3. Still saying that's happening.
No, they said it's 4.25. Stop.
It's going to be in March.
March, yeah.
Okay.
Believe it.
Okay. All right, Naruto.
I knew that's you know what? I got this.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've been spinning it throughout the show because the Square Enix, I got it from Square Enix. For those watching, it says Dissidia on it, which doesn't make any sense because I put my thumb and my finger over where it would say.
You know.
But you know. And I got to tell you, as someone who very regularly finds myself fiddling with things while I'm talking, I just wish it was automatic. That's the only difference. But otherwise, it's been good for me. It's been good. It's been good. What's the word on that? Hospitality. I don't know what the word is. Not distraction. Comforting. It's been comforting. Just like this.
I need something like that.
And then I hold it up to Aloha, and he actually paws it like this, but he can't get it to spin because he just raises his paw again. So he's trying though.
I really need something like that because I actually have it's like I forget what it's called. It's a very minor form of obsessive compulsive disorder, but I pick my fingers.
A tick?
He picks his finger like this.
No, like a tick.
It's a tick. So it is a tick. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, it's like it's a thing. But like I need stuff to do with my hands. And
I do that around the fingernails. I don't bite the nail itself. I bite around it. I do the same thing. So this helps. I don't bite around my nails with this. Yeah. So it's basically another bad habit. All right.
Less destructive.
Okay. So is there anything else you guys want to hit on that space? Don't get me wrong, there's a bunch of stuff we didn't hit on, but I know Merri's got raid very soon, so I want to wrap this up without him having to awkwardly leave the show because we went on too long.
We can kind of table this for next week. The whole gear issues and item level.
Okay, I'll hit it real quick. This tier's gear is fucking stupid. Merri didn't realize it until I told him right before the show. But the Byakko weapon and the crafted weapons, 350, 355 of the item levels have the same weapon damage. That's also true of the Savage weapon and the Tombstone weapon. They have the same weapon damage. The higher item level obviously has more main stats and has a different stat spread. But without the difference in weapon damage, the offsets become potentially offsetting for which piece is better in terms of your gear. And I found that my monk piece my crit det 370 monk piece that has 8 less strength on it is more likely better than my Kefka weapon. They asked, all right, who wants that? And I went, not me. I'm actually gonna see if I can ask I want to see if I can shoot an email over to Square Enix, get to forward to DOCP and be like, why? I know why, because the Shinryu weapons were the same. It's it's 330, 350, 370, 390, and 395 would be the same, theoretically. And then 410, 415. Like, it's just like every 20 it hits that mark, the item level increase just isn't worth a weapon damage in their calculations. And, god damn it. The caster weapons are fine. Only the physical weapons don't do this. Your caster weapons are fine. Those are still obvious choices for you. But I'm just saying, it aggravates me. But we'll see. It means that I don't need 16 weeks worth of Savage to guarantee. Well, I wouldn't anyway because I get a fucking cougher. Never mind. Shut up, me. Yeah. Anything else?
There you go.
You want to hit on?
Not really.
No.
We covered most of the core stuff.
And now you got to get into your raid. You're just thinking about that raid right now.
Yeah, boy.
Train.
Yeah. Slyh, are you raiding tonight, or did you say your next day is the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl.
All right, this is Monster Hunter for you then. Yeah, that's how I'm talking. All right, then let's wrap this show up. So before we do that, obviously we have to cover the patrons. We got to do our outros, but the show next week. So we are not 100% sure if we'll be able to get it. I asked Keo, but I need to. Let's say he'll get back to me. I wanted to ask if he could be on next week's show, but I found out I won't be in town on Tuesday. Found that out today. I'll be in San Francisco attending something for just Tuesday. So the next week's show, as long as Slyh doesn't disagree, can be on Wednesday.
No raid on Wednesday.
Okay, there you go. So Wednesday it is for the next show, and then after that, hopefully we'll be back to normality of Tuesdays. It wasn't intentional, but it's just another Wednesday show. I want to get Keo on and do a talk about his going through the raid and breaking it down. Keo and Layla would be great. They've raided together before also, so there's a bit of old synergy there. But I'll see what I can arrange. And then the following show would be on the live letter, which is in 8 days. Then we'd have Spoiler Cast. Then we'd have Eorzivia. And then Eureka would be out, presumably. Don't give me that fucking look. I'm saying presumably only because it doesn't have to be 5 weeks. It could be 4 weeks. It could be 4 instead of 5. It could be 6, even. 4.25 is approximately a month, they said. Yeah. If anything, it ends up being a show about Hildebrand. And then from that point on, then we'll talk about that later. But that's what's going on for next week. Wanted to make sure everyone's aware of that. And then we got to thank our patrons, which I had up on a list that disappeared when my Chrome crashed right before the show started. It doesn't take that long to pull it up, but it is indeed something worth considering. But anyway, we want to thank our sponsors over on Patreon for combating #demonetized. We went an entire show without saying something that was so incredibly dumb it guarantees. Last week's show, literally, it finished and it was demonetized instantly. Which we knew based on what was said in the show, but they were fast on that one, man. They were real fast. All right. So they help us combat #demonetized. So let me throw some thanks over to them. Now, it's the first of the month, so this list might be a little inaccurate. So if you don't hear your name, be sure to send me a message or something. But we have our standard sponsors. We have Dark Graver. We have Skia Symphonia from Ragnarok, Rylanator, Westaur, Rah Xephon, Eadric Redsteele on Exodus, Lexxie Valentine, Mantaru the Rivivus Free Company from Zodiark, Sour Cream and Chives, Rynoet Chikara, Goetia, Valefar, Hersh, Fersh, Faerie, Phoenix Down Free Company, Serren from Zodiark. Yeah, and Siren from Zodiark. Oh, no, yeah. Phoenix Down Free Company, I got one. All right, yeah. See, this list is all off on the first of the month because it doesn't update properly. I know for a fact there's some names missing there. I'm just grabbing them. One of them is indeed... No, Westaur's the Purple Warrior. Yeah, I just forgot to say Purple Warrior. And then we have our elite sponsors for the show. We have Crass015. We have Oscar. We have Mustang. We have Serenity Free Company on Ultras. Kat Kazuma. Curioshi and the Reckless Tea Party on Cactar. Ignis Fairgun from Diablo Server. Valestra of Famfrit. Nocta Cordish from Excalibur. Krovos Moonscar. Nakaneami of Balmung. Johnny Odin of Tonberry, Private Mikey, Aqua Sacrifice, Spike, Nani Kurasami, Rudy Rudiger, Tin Colossus, Killer Hackman, Raul Jr., Arthur Mill Gaming Bishop, and Killtastic Jones. I noticed there was a standard sponsor missing there. Someone who just messaged me today. I'll get their name and add that to the list right now. It's actually on the outro card, but I'll have to grab that because it's not on my actual document. And then we have our... Do you want to do it since you're here again, Merri? Patron of Light.
The Patron of Light.
There we go. I figured it was worth it because you're like a young Morgan Freeman, really, right?
Really?
Yeah, that's his natural speaking voice, right? It has the echo. Yeah. Like he's got he's got a chorus behind him at all times, pretty much. His voice is 1,000 suns, and it lights my day. You know, that all goodness. And that is, of course, Khuja Cross. Why are you gonna laugh? You screwed it up now.
No, sorry, Layla.
Khuja Cross of the Jenova server. Oh, I'm glad you did that. Khuja Cross of the Jenova server, the Patron of Light. Thank you so much. And as for that individual who was missed from the list, it was a standard sponsor by the name of Kat Ayoshi from Kujata. So thank you as well. Hopefully we will have something a little bit more updated now that it's past the first of the month for Patreon and my list is not updating properly.
Thank you, everyone.
Gentlemen, it's finally time. Sound off. Merri, you're first.
I'm Merri. I do Twitch and YouTube and Twitter.
You do Twitter?
I do Twitter. I tweet funny things sometimes, not all the time. Very_Merri on Twitch, Twitter, and Very Merri on YouTube. And I'm going to be streaming Prague in a little bit.
5 minutes.
Yeah, boy.
Pretty much 5 minutes.
I'm already in the party.
There you go. That's a good raid attendee. I never do that. All right, and Slyh, what about you? What you doing, man?
You can find me on twitch.tv/Slyh, aka Greyfox. You can find me on Instagram at Slyh, aka Greyfox07. Find me on YouTube, youtube.com/The Velvet Room. You can find me on Twitter at Slythefox. And we're gonna be on some Monster Hunter. We're gonna be getting them gains. Gains. It's all about them gains.
All about them gains?
Them gains.
Alrighty then. And then I'm the last one. Normally you sound me off, so I sound myself off. Right there. Yeah. Giggity. But anyway. I'm the other guy who's on this show sometimes. Mr. Happy1227. Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. And while they're doing Monster Hunter and Prague, I'm going to be working on guides. I think I'm still short on a little bit of footage. I'd like to... I don't know that I have tank and healer for 05 Savage, which I think, considering there's a different ghost for each, I absolutely need. But I'm going to put a feeler out and see if I can get what I need from the free company, because I'm sure somebody has it. Somebody's got to have it. So expect guides coming out this weekend. And, well, on that note, gentlemen, I think we can wrap up the show, do pretty much a non-existent post-show so Merri can get going immediately since it's 6:01. And, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next Wednesday, where hopefully Keo and or Layla, both the invites out there to both of them, can be joining us for the show. I will see all of you the next time. Until then, take care. They'll see you. Well, Merri won't. He'll see you some other time. Slyh will see you in a few minutes, I think.
Mm-hmm. See you next
Merri
week.
will also see you in a few. If you want to see, you can see either of them in a few minutes. Really, you can Khadgar them. You can multi. Yep. You can do. Good. Okay, we're ending the show. Bye.
Whoa! I'm so excited.
Have fun, dude. You'll love it. You'll love it. Trust me. Good luck, man.
Go get ready to fuck a train.
All right. I'm leaving that in the outro for YouTube. So
sweet.
Bye.
Yeah. See you later.
See you.
Thanks for having me.
See you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, always.
All right, go. All right. Okay. Layla wants to know if there will be free food.
Free food?
Yeah, for the show next week.